The crystalline walls of the Galactic Council chamber stretched high above the assembly floor, catching the light from 3 different suns. Ambassador Park Min-jun stood at the center of the vast circular room, feeling very small. Around him, 200 alien species sat in their designated sections, their forms ranging from creatures made of living crystal to beings that floated in tanks of methane gas. Min-jun adjusted his formal suit and cleared his throat. His voice carried through the translation devices that would make his words understood by every species present. Honored council members, I come before you today representing humanity. We have been observing members for 50 years. We have followed every protocol. We have contributed to scientific exchanges and honored all treaties. Today, we formally request full membership in the Galactic Council. A rippling sound filled the chamber. It took Min-jun a moment to realize it was laughter. Counselor Vexthara, a serpentine creature with scales that shimmered purple and black, rose from his section. His translated voice dripped with amusement. Humans, you have been flying through space for what? 200 of your years? My species has traveled the stars for 10,000 years. You are children playing with toys you barely understand. Grown. 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 More laughter echoed through the chamber. Min-jun kept his face neutral, though his jaw tightened. Behind him, Dr. Choi So-yun shifted in her seat. She was part of the human delegation, a brilliant scientist who had worked alongside many alien researchers. Her hands gripped the armrests of her chair as she watched the mockery unfold. Another voice joined in. This one came from a being made entirely of harmonious crystals that vibrated to produce sound. Look at them. They need machines for everything. They cannot survive in vacuum. They cannot communicate telepathically. They cannot even see beyond their narrow spectrum without tools. They are crippled creatures who compensate with crude technology. A representative from the methane-breathing Zulkar species added their contempt. Soft skins. That is what we call them in our tongue. They are so fragile. A small change in temperature kills them. They need constant food and water. They live for barely a century. What can such brief, weak creatures offer this council? Min-jun took a deep breath. We offer perspective. We offer innovation. In 200 years, we have developed technologies that rival species with thousands of years of spacefaring history. We offer dedication and the ability to solve problems in ways others might not consider. Vexthara's laughter was particularly cruel. You offer nothing we need. Human, you are entertaining. I will grant you that. But membership? You are not ready. Perhaps in another 1,000 years, when you have grown up, a telepathic species called the Mindborn projected their thoughts directly into the chamber. Their verbal communication is painfully slow. They speak words, one at a time, when thoughts could be shared instantly. They are inefficient in every way. Min-jun pressed on. We have shared medical technology that has saved lives across the galaxy. We have contributed to the station defense systems. We have mediated disputes between species when asked. We have proven ourselves valuable partners. Partners, yes, Vexthara said, slithering closer to the center platform. But not equals. You see, humans, there is a natural order to things. Some species are meant to lead. Others are meant to follow. Your biology limits you. Your short lifespans mean you lack wisdom. Your weak bodies mean you lack strength. Your dependence on technology means you have no true power of your own. Dr. Choi So-yun could not stay silent anymore. She stood up, speaking without permission. Our so-called weaknesses have made us creative. We solve problems because we must. We innovate because we have no choice. That is our strength. Vexthara dismissed her with a wave. Silence. You were not given permission to speak. This is exactly what I mean. Humans do not understand protocol. They act on emotion and impulse. Captain Kwon Jae-won, commander of Earth's defense fleet, sat in the observer section. His military uniform was crisp, his expression hard. He had warned Min-jun that this would happen. The council did not respect humans. They never had. All the diplomatic niceties had been a facade. The vote was called. Min-jun stood alone in the center as the results appeared on the holographic display. 187 species voted against humanity's membership. 13 voted in favor. It was a crushing defeat, but worse was yet to come. Vexthara rose again. Furthermore, this council has decided that humanity's trading privileges will be reduced. You have been too aggressive in your expansion along the contested fringe. You will withdraw your colonies from 3 systems and limit your merchant vessels to approved routes only. Min-jun's calm finally cracked. The contested fringe is dangerous. We have detected unusual activity there. Pirates and possibly worse. We need more security, not less. Your paranoia is noted and dismissed, Vexthara replied. The fringe has always had minor criminal activity. It is nothing to concern this council. Your human tendency toward fear and aggression is showing. This is another reason you are not ready for membership. Min-jun tried to respond, but the council was already moving on to other business. His words were drowned out by laughter and casual conversation. He might as well have been invisible. Dr. Seo-yeon reached Min-jun's side. Her voice was low and angry. They are not just denying us membership. They are treating us like we are nothing. Captain Kwon joined them. We should leave. There is no point in staying here. Min-jun looked around the chamber one last time. He saw contempt on alien faces. He saw amusement. He saw dismissal. But he did not see respect. After 50 years of trying, after following every rule, after contributing so much, humanity was still seen as lesser beings. He gathered his dignity and walked toward the exit. His delegation followed. Behind them, the council continued their meeting as if nothing important had happened. As if humanity did not matter at all. On the transport back to their ship, no one spoke. Seo-yeon stared out the viewport at the stars. Kwon checked reports from the fleet. Min-jun sat in silence, his mind working through what had just happened. Finally, Kwon spoke. What will you tell Earth? Min-jun did not answer immediately. When he did, his voice was quiet but firm. I will tell them the truth. The council does not respect us. They never will. Not as we are now. Not as long as we keep asking for their approval. So, what do we do? Seo-yeon asked. Min-jun looked at his reflection in the viewport. We stop asking. 3 months after the council rejection, Ambassador Park Min-jun stood before the United Earth government in Geneva. The Security Council chamber was filled with the most powerful leaders on Earth. Premier Lee Hae-won sat at the head of the table, her expression unreadable as she listened to Min-jun's report. They humiliated us, Min-jun said simply. Not just with their vote, but with their entire attitude. We are seen as lesser beings, amusing pets at best, annoyances at worst. Admiral Shin Tae-hyun, chief of Earth's defense forces, slammed his hand on the table. Then we should show them what this pet can do. Let us demonstrate our military capabilities. No, Premier Lee said firmly. Violence would only confirm their view of us as aggressive primitives. We need a different approach. She turned to Min-jun. What do you recommend? Min-jun had spent 3 months thinking about this moment. We leave. Completely. We invoke the Sovereign Isolation Clause. The room went silent. The Sovereign Isolation Clause was an ancient provision in galactic law. It allowed any species to withdraw completely from the galactic community. It had not been used in over 2,000 years. You mean cut all contact? Asked Dr. Nam Yuna, head of Earth's Quantum Research Division. Close embassies? End trade agreements? Everything? Everything, Min-jun confirmed. We stop playing their game. We stop seeking their approval. We handle our own affairs. They will mock us even more, someone said. They will say we are running away. Let them, Min-jun replied. Let them laugh. While they laugh, we work. Premier Lee leaned forward. Explain. Min-jun activated a holographic display. For 50 years, we have shared our technology with the galaxy. We have given them medical advances, computer systems, manufacturing techniques. In return, they have given us access to their markets and their knowledge. But we do not need their markets. Earth and our colonies are self-sufficient. What we need is time. Dr. Nam Yuna understood first. Time to catch up. Time to advance without their interference or their mockery. Exactly, Minjun said. We withdraw. We close our borders. We take everything we have learned from them, and we improve it. We develop our own path. And when we return, if we return. Admiral Shin nodded slowly. I like it. But it is dangerous. We will be alone. If something threatens us, we cannot call for help. Could we call for help now? Captain Quan Jae-won asked. He had accompanied Minjun to the meeting. Would they come? They dismissed our warnings about the contested fringe. They reduced our defense capabilities. They do not care about our security. Premier Lee looked around the table. This is not a decision to make lightly. If we do this, there is no going back for years, perhaps decades. We will be truly alone. We are already alone. Dr. Choi So-yeon said. She had been quiet until now. The council makes that clear. The only difference is that now we will stop pretending otherwise. The vote was taken. It was unanimous. The next week, Earth began the withdrawal. Human ambassadors left their posts on alien worlds. Embassy buildings were sealed. Trade agreements were formally terminated. Human merchants returned to Earth space. Human scientists working on joint projects packed their equipment and departed. The galaxy noticed, but mostly with amusement. On the council floor, Vex Thera addressed the assembly. It seems the humans have decided to take their toys and go home. How childish. They will return within a year, begging for reinstatement. This tantrum changes nothing. But Earth was thorough. Every human presence in galactic space was withdrawn. Colonies on mixed-species worlds were evacuated. Students at alien universities came home. Even the small diplomatic monitoring station was abandoned. Captain Quan received his orders directly from Admiral Shin. Establish a defensive perimeter around all human space. No unauthorized ships enter. No exceptions. What about authorized ships? Quan asked. There are no authorized ships, Shin replied. All contact is severed. The final message went out from Ambassador Minjun himself. He stood before a camera. Knowing his words would be broadcast across the entire galaxy, people of the Galactic Council, he began. Humanity has served as an observing member for 50 years. We have contributed to your community. We have honored your laws. We have sought friendship and partnership. In return, we have been mocked, dismissed, and insulted. Therefore, effective immediately, humanity withdraws from all galactic affairs. We invoke the Sovereign Isolation Clause. We will manage our own security, our own economy, and our own future. Do not contact us. Do not enter our space. We have nothing more to say to you. The transmission ended. Earth went silent. Across the galaxy, the reaction was mixed. Some species shrugged and moved on. Others were annoyed at the disruption to trade. A few, very few, wondered if they had made a mistake. On the council floor, Vex Thera laughed. Good riddance. Let them hide in their corner of space. They will come crawling back when reality sets in. But reality was setting in for others. A harmonics trader named Zenik found himself unable to repair a crucial piece of equipment. It was human-made. And suddenly, there were no humans to fix it. A medical station discovered that certain treatments required human-developed medicines that were no longer available. A defense station realized their computer systems relied on human programming that was starting to glitch. These were small problems. Annoyances. Nothing critical. The galaxy could adapt. Meanwhile, behind the closed borders of human space, things were changing. Dr. Nam Yuna stood before the largest research facility Earth had ever built. "We have been given a gift," she told her team. "Time. Isolation. Freedom from judgment. We are going to use it." Admiral Shin was restructuring the entire military. "We are not building an army to conquer," he told his officers. "We are building a force that will make sure no one ever dismisses us again." Dr. Seo Yun led teams of scientists who had returned from alien universities. They brought knowledge, experience, and most importantly, a burning desire to prove themselves. Premier Lee addressed the people of Earth in a broadcast. "We have been laughed at. We have been told we are weak, foolish, and primitive. Maybe they are right. Maybe we are all those things. But we are also human, and humans do not give up. We adapt, we overcome, we survive. For the next years, we will work, we will build, we will become something the galaxy has never seen before. And when we are ready, they will understand what it means to underestimate humanity." The defensive perimeter went up. Automated systems scanned constantly for intruders. Any ship that approached human space received one warning, then was turned away by force if necessary. A few tried to sneak through. They were intercepted by Captain Kwan's patrol fleet and escorted out. The galaxy noticed the defenses. They seemed surprisingly advanced for such a primitive species. But the general attitude was still dismissive. Humans were hiding, that was all. In the contested fringe, the area that humans had warned about, pirate activity increased. Small conflicts broke out. The Council sent peacekeeping forces, but nothing seemed to settle the region. Some remembered that humans had tried to warn them. Most forgot. 5 years passed, then 10, then 15. Earth remained silent. The borders remained closed. And deep in human space, something was being built. Something unprecedented. Something that would change everything. But the galaxy did not know that yet. The galaxy had forgotten about humanity. They had moved on. That was their first mistake. Their second mistake would be far more costly. 8 years had passed since humanity closed its borders. In the Galactic Council chamber, Councillor Vex Thara looked at a report with growing concern. He had expected the humans to return within months. Perhaps a year, at most. They had not. 8 years of complete silence. "This is unusual," he admitted to his aide. "They should have run out of resources by now. They should have come back begging for trade agreements." His aide, a younger SS Rathi named Kesh, pointed to economic data. "The disruptions are getting worse, Counselor. 17 species have reported technology failures. All human-designed systems. No one can repair them." Vex Thara waved dismissively. "Minor inconveniences. We managed for thousands of years before humans arrived. We will adapt." But adaptation was proving difficult. The harmonics trader Zenek was going bankrupt. Half his fleet relied on human-designed engines that were breaking down. No one else could fix them. Human engineering was different, unique. They approached problems in ways other species did not. A medical station near the Outer Rim sent desperate requests to the Council. They treated a rare disease using human-developed medicine. Their supplies were running out. They had tried to recreate the formula, but something was missing. Patients were dying. "Can we not simply take the medicine from human space?" someone suggested in a council meeting. "We would have to breach their borders," Fleet Admiral Korth replied. He was a massive being from a high-gravity world, covered in armor-like skin. "Every attempt to approach human space has been repelled. Their defensive systems are far more advanced than we expected." Enda. This caught Vex Thara's attention. "How advanced?" Korth displayed sensor readings. "We sent a reconnaissance ship 3 months ago. It was detected immediately and turned away by automated defense platforms. The technology they used was not in our databases. It was something new." "New?" Vex Thara leaned forward. "How new?" "At least 20 years ahead of anything we have seen before." Korth said carefully. Their weapons systems, their sensors, their shields, all of it has advanced significantly. The chamber grew quiet. 20 years of advancement in only 8 years? That was impossible. Technology did not develop that quickly. What are they doing in there? A mind-born representative projected telepathically. No one had an answer. More reports came in. Ships that passed near human space detected strange energy signatures. Massive construction projects were happening deep in human territory. But what were they building? 3 smaller species that had been friendly with humans formally requested to join them behind the closed borders. The Telvan, the Hask, and the Riem. They were minor species, barely noticed by the Council. Their request was granted by the Council without much thought. The 3 species approached the human border. To everyone's surprise, they were allowed through. Then, they vanished. No communication came from them. They were simply gone, absorbed into human space. This is becoming concerning, Vex Thara admitted in a private meeting with other senior council members. We need information. We need to know what humans are doing. Vex Thara, also live. Why does it matter? Asked a crystalline representative. They are isolated. They are not a threat. Let them play with their toys in their corner of space, because we are starting to realize how much we relied on them. Vex Thara said quietly. It was a hard admission. Their technology was integrated into our systems more than we thought. Their trade routes were more efficient than we realized. Their mediation services kept several conflicts from escalating. Fleet Admiral Korth nodded. And the contested fringe has become a disaster. Pirate activity has tripled. We have had to commit significant military resources to the region. Humans warned us about this area, but we ignored them. We did not ignore them. Vex Thara corrected. We told them they were being paranoid, that it was nothing serious. We were wrong, Korth said bluntly. The contested fringe was indeed becoming a problem. What had been minor pirate raids had grown into organized attacks. Ships were disappearing. Colonies were being raided. The Council sent more peacekeeping forces, but the region was vast and difficult to patrol. Then came the first real disaster. A Zulkar colony ship, carrying 3,000 colonists, vanished near the fringe. No distress signal, no debris, just gone. Search parties found nothing. 2 weeks later, another ship vanished. Then another. Then a small military patrol. This is more than pirates. Fleet Admiral Korth reported to the Council. This is organized. This is something bigger. What could it be? Vex Thara demanded. I do not know, Korth admitted. But I recommend we increase military presence in the region immediately. The Council debated. Some wanted to investigate further. Others wanted to ignore it. In the end, they committed a small increase in forces, but nothing major. Meanwhile, in human space, things continued to develop behind the closed borders. On a research station orbiting Mars, Dr. Namyuna looked at test results with satisfaction. It works. The theory was correct. R.T., her assistant, a young physicist, stared at the data. This should not be possible. This violates everything we thought we knew about quantum mechanics. It violates what the galaxy knows, Yuna corrected. We approached it differently. We thought like humans, not like them. On Earth, Admiral Shin watched as a new ship class completed its trials. It was sleek, fast, and incorporated technology that would have seemed like magic 8 years ago. How many can we build? He asked the shipyard director. With current production? 300 within 2 years. More if we expand facilities. Expand, Shin ordered. Build as many as possible. Captain Quan stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching sensors. His fleet had grown significantly. Every ship was equipped with new systems that made the old technology look primitive. Sir, his sensor officer reported. We are detecting unusual activity At the edge of the fringe. Deep space. Beyond Council patrols. Quan studied the readings. What kind of activity? Unknown. But it is big. Very big. Quan made a note in his log and sent a coded message to Earth Command. The message was simple. The threat is real. It is coming. On the council floor, Vex Thara tried one more time to contact humanity. He sent a formal message through every channel he could find. Humanity. This is Counselor Vex Thara of the Esizrathi. The Council wishes to reopen diplomatic communications. Please respond. The reply came 3 days later. It was short. Request denied. Diplomatic relations were severed per your Council's decision. That decision was noted as final. Do not contact us again. Vex Thara realized something then. Humans were not hiding. They were not sulking. They were preparing. But preparing for what? In the contested fringe, another ship vanished. Then, an entire mining operation. Then, a small research station. Whatever was out there was getting bolder, and humanity, behind their closed borders, continued to build. The attack came without warning. One moment, the Zulkar homeworld was peaceful. The next, the sky filled with ships, unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They were massive, organic-looking vessels that seemed to be made of metal and flesh combined. The Ravagers had arrived. The Zulkar defense fleet responded immediately. They outnumbered the attackers 3-1. It did not matter. The Ravager ships tore through them like they were made of paper. Their weapons ignored shields. Their hulls absorbed damage and regenerated. And worst of all, when they destroyed a ship, they somehow captured the wreckage and incorporated it into themselves. Within 3 days, the Zulkar homeworld fell. 4 billion people were gone, absorbed, assimilated into the Ravager collective. The few ships that escaped brought news of the horror to the Council. Counselor Vex Thara watched the footage with growing terror. What are they? Fleet Admiral Korth had no answer. Unknown. They came from deep space, beyond any charted region. Our weapons barely slow them down, and they are spreading fast. The Council mobilized its forces. Every member species contributed ships, weapons, and soldiers. The largest military fleet in galactic history assembled to face the Ravagers. It was not enough. The Battle of Kresh Station lasted 4 hours. The Council lost 60% of its forces. The Ravagers lost nothing. Every damaged Ravager ship simply absorbed nearby wreckage and repaired itself. Every destroyed Council vessel became material for the enemy. Fall back, Korth ordered. All ships, retreat to defensive positions, but there was nowhere to retreat to. The Ravagers kept coming. They hit the Harmonix crystal worlds next. The beautiful singing crystals were shattered and consumed. An entire civilization, gone in days. The Mindborn tried to fight with their telepathic powers. They tried to break the minds of the Ravagers. Instead, the Ravagers learned from them, adapted, and began using crude telepathic jamming against Council forces. Species after species fell. The Council chamber, once filled with 200 representatives, now had empty seats. 10 species had been completely destroyed. 20 more had lost major colonies. The galaxy was facing extinction. Counselor Vex Thara called an emergency session. We need help. We need options. Does anyone have anything? Silence. Then one voice spoke. It was a Telvan representative, one of the minor species that had joined humanity behind their borders. Contact the humans. 1. Vex Thara turned to stare. You have returned? Where have you been? With humanity, learning, growing. We have seen what they have built. They can help. The humans? Vex Thara's laugh was bitter. The weak, primitive humans? What can they do that we cannot? More than you think, the Telvan said. Vex Thara had no choice. The galaxy was dying. Pride meant nothing when facing extinction. The delegation approached human space carefully. The automated defenses locked onto them immediately. A message came through. State your purpose. We come seeking aid, Vexthara said. He was leading the delegation personally. The galaxy is under attack. We need humanity's help. Diplomatic relations were severed. You made that clear. Leave. Please, Vexthara said. The word tasted like poison. We were wrong. We need you. There was a long pause. Then, you may enter. Follow the designated route exactly. The delegation passed through the human border. What they saw shocked them. The space beyond was transformed. Massive orbital structures surrounded every human world. Shipyards stretched for thousands of kilometers. And the ships themselves were incredible. Sleek, powerful, and built with technology that seemed decades ahead of Council standards. They were brought to Earth, to the same chamber in Geneva, where Premier Li He-1 had once ordered the withdrawal. Now, she sat at the head of the table, flanked by Admiral Shin, Dr. Nam Yuna, and Ambassador Park Min-jun. Min-jun looked older now. His hair was gray, his face lined, but his eyes were sharp and hard. Counselor Vexthara, I remember you. You were the one who led the mockery 8 years ago. NE4. Werganotherpons. Counselor Vexthara. I lefted 48 years ago. Vexthara lowered himself in a gesture of submission that no S's Rothi had ever performed before an alien. I was wrong. We all were. We need your help. Please. Why should we help you? Min-jun asked. You called us weak, primitive, childish. You laughed at our warnings. You dismissed our concerns. You reduced our territories and told us we were paranoid about the fringe. Why should we risk human lives for you? Why? Vexthara had no answer. He simply said, because billions are dying. Because the galaxy is falling. Because despite what we did to you, you are better than we were. Dr. Choi So-yeon stepped forward. She was older too, but her voice was strong. We detected the Ravagers 7 years ago. We tried to warn you. We sent messages through every channel we could find before we closed our borders. She activated a display showing dates, messages, warnings, all sent to the Council. All ignored. We knew they were coming, Seo-yeon continued. We knew they would attack. That is why we closed our borders. Not out of spite. Not out of hurt feelings. But because we needed time. Time to prepare. Time to find a way to fight them. You knew? Vexthara stared at the data. Yes, Min-jun said. But you had made it clear you did not value human input. So we stopped trying to convince you. We decided to save ourselves instead. Premier Li spoke for the first time. The question now is whether we save you too. Can you? Vexthara asked desperately. Can you fight the Ravagers? Our weapons do nothing. Our strategies fail. They adapt to everything we try. Admiral Shin smiled grimly. That is because you fight like the Council. You rely on the same tactics you have used for thousands of years. You have become comfortable, predictable. The Ravagers exploit that. And humans? Vexthara asked. Humans are never comfortable, Dr. Nam Yuna said. We have spent 8 years studying the Ravagers from a distance. We have developed weapons specifically designed to counter their abilities. We have strategies they have never encountered. We have advantages you never considered. Then you will help us? Vexthara felt hope for the first time in weeks. That is not my decision, Premier Li said. This is a human government. We will discuss it. You will wait. The delegation was escorted to guest quarters. For 3 days, they waited while humanity debated. In those 3 days, 2 more Council worlds fell to the Ravagers. Finally, they were summoned back to the chamber. Ambassador Park Min-jun stood before them. Humanity has made its decision. We will help you. But not out of charity. Not out of forgiveness. We will help because it is the right thing to do. Because despite what you did to us, we refuse to let genocide happen when we have the power to stop it." He paused, letting the words sink in. "But understand this. When this is over, things will change. Humanity will not return to being dismissed and mocked. We will have full council membership with equal status. We will have a voice in all decisions. And you will remember that the species you called weak and primitive saved you when you could not save yourselves." Vexthara bowed again. "Whatever terms you wish, please, help us." Minjun nodded to Admiral Shin. "Mobilize the fleet. It is time to show the galaxy what humans can do." The Battle of Council Prime would be remembered forever as the day the galaxy learned what humanity truly was. The Ravager fleet approached the last major council world with overwhelming force. 300 massive biomechanical ships, each one a nightmare of living metal and organic tissue. They had consumed half the galaxy. They were unstoppable. Then space tore open. Jump signatures appeared by the hundreds. Human ships emerged from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. They were beautiful and terrible at the same time. Sleek hulls that seemed to flow like liquid metal. Weapons that hummed with energy types the galaxy had never seen. Shields that shimmered with colors that should not exist. Admiral Shin Tae-hyun stood on the bridge of the flagship Unity. Around him, his crew worked with calm efficiency. "All ships, this is Admiral Shin. We are here to end this. Show them what 8 years of human determination can accomplish. Show them why they should never have underestimated us." The Ravagers turned their attention to the human fleet. They had destroyed every fleet they had faced. These newcomers would be no different. They were wrong. Captain Kwon Jae-won commanded the first strike wing. His ship, the Defiant, led a squadron of 50 vessels directly at the Ravager line. Target: their integration nodes. Those are their weak points. "How do we know they have weak points?" his tactical officer asked. "Because we spent 7 years studying them," Kwon replied. "While the Council was ignoring our warnings, we were learning everything about the Ravagers. We know how they work. We know how to kill them." The human weapons fired. They were not like Council weapons. They did not rely on energy shields or kinetic impact. They used quantum disruption technology that Dr. Nam Yuna had developed. The weapons did not destroy the Ravager ships. They destabilized them. A Ravager vessel tried to absorb the damage and regenerate. Instead, it began to fall apart. The organic and mechanical components that it had assimilated over months could not integrate properly. The ship tore itself apart from the inside. "Direct hit," the tactical officer reported. "Ravager vessel destroyed. It cannot regenerate." Kwon smiled. "All ships, weapons free. Let them see what happens when they face an enemy they did not evolve to fight." The human fleet moved like a living thing. Their tactics were unpredictable, creative, and aggressive. They did not follow the standard Council battle formations. They adapted constantly, changed strategies mid-battle, and took risks that no other species would consider. The Ravagers tried to adapt. They had always adapted before, but they could not adapt to humanity. Every time they adjusted to one tactic, the humans switched to another. Every time they thought they understood the weapons, the humans modified them. "This is impossible." Fleet Admiral Korth watched from a Council observation ship. "They are winning. Actually winning." Councillor Vexthara sat beside him, watching in awe and shame. "They are not just winning. They are dominating." Dr. Nam Yuna's greatest achievement came next. From the Unity, a pulse of energy spread across the battlefield. It looked harmless, like a wave of gentle light, but when it touched the Ravager ships, they began to shut down. "What is that?" Korth asked. "A virus," Dr. Choi So-yeon explained. She was on the observation ship as humanity's representative. A digital biological virus that attacks the Ravagers' integration systems. They assimilate technology and biology from other species. That is their strength. We turned it into their weakness. The virus spreads through their network, corrupting everything they have absorbed. One by one, the Ravager ships went dark. Their hulls began to crack. Their weapons stopped firing. The mighty fleet that had destroyed half the galaxy was dying. Captain Quan led boarding teams onto the damaged Ravager vessels. It was dangerous work, but necessary. They needed to understand the enemy completely to ensure they could never return. Inside a Ravager ship, Quan found something that made him pause. Records, data, information about where they came from and why they attacked. He transmitted it immediately to Admiral Shin. They were running, Shin said quietly as he reviewed the data. The Ravagers were not conquerors. They were refugees. Something even worse drove them from their home. They assimilated other species because they were dying. They were trying to survive. Premier Lee Hae-won received the news on Earth. She sat in silence for a long time. "Does this change anything?" she asked Min-jun. "No," Min-jun replied. "Their reasons do not excuse genocide. But it reminds us that the universe is more dangerous than the Council ever understood. This is why we prepared." The Battle of Council Prime ended after 8 hours. The Ravager fleet was destroyed. Not a single human ship was lost. The Council forces had barely participated. They had simply watched as humanity did what they could not. In the aftermath, the Council chamber filled again. This time, Ambassador Park Min-jun sat among them. Not as an observer, not as a supplicant, but as an equal. Councillor Vex Thera stood to address the assembly. "The Council owes humanity a debt that can never be repaid. We mocked them. We dismissed them. We called them weak and primitive. We were wrong about everything." He turned to Min-jun. "You saved us. Not because we deserved it. Not because we earned it. But because it was the right thing to do. You showed us what it means to be strong. Real strength is not in how much power you have, it is in how you use it." Min-jun stood. "The galaxy called us weak because we live short lives. But short lives taught us to value time. We learned to work with urgency, to innovate constantly, because we cannot afford to waste centuries. You called us fragile because our bodies are soft. But fragile bodies forced us to build technology, to think creatively, to solve problems instead of relying on natural advantages. You said we were primitive because we needed machines for everything. But machines freed us to become more than our biology. Every weakness you mocked became our greatest strength." The chamber was silent. Species that had laughed 8 years ago now listened with respect. "Humanity will join the Council," Min-jun continued. "But not as junior members. Not as species that needs to prove itself. We join as equals. We will have full voting rights. We will have authority over our own territories without Council interference. And we will have a voice in all major decisions." "Agreed," Vex Thera said immediately. The vote was unanimous, but Min-jun was not finished. "There is more. The 3 species that joined us behind our borders, the Telvan, Hask, and Riem, will also join as full members. They trusted humanity when no one else did. They will be rewarded for that trust." Again, the vote was unanimous. Dr. Nam Yuna received the Galactic Science Prize a month later. She stood before the assembly and explained the quantum disruption technology, the biodigital virus, and the principles behind the advanced human ships. Other species listened with fascination. Some understood. Many did not. Human thinking was different, approaching problems from angles others never considered. Captain Quan was promoted to Fleet Admiral, working alongside the Council's military forces. He began training mixed species units in human tactics. It was difficult. Most species were used to rigid, traditional approaches. Humans taught them flexibility, creativity, and the willingness to try impossible things. Admiral Shin retired from active duty, but he remained as an advisor. The threat is not over, he warned the council. The Ravagers were running from something. That something is still out there. We need to be ready. One of the side. We need to be ready. The council listened. They had learned their lesson. Earth's borders reopened, but on human terms. Trade resumed, but humans controlled the rates and routes. Cultural exchanges began again, but with mutual respect. The galaxy had changed. One day, Councillor Vexthara asked for a private meeting with Ambassador Minjun. They met in a quiet garden on the council station. I need to know, Vexthara said. When we rejected you 8 years ago, when we mocked you, did you plan this? Did you know you would save us? Minjun considered the question. We knew something was coming. We knew we needed to prepare. Did we know it would be the Ravagers? No. Did we know the council would need saving? We suspected. Did we plan to help you? That was always debated. Some wanted to leave you to face the consequences of your arrogance. Others argued we should help because it was right. In the end, humanity chose compassion, but we also chose to remember. Remember what? That respect must be earned. That dignity matters. That when you treat others as lesser beings, you reveal your own limitations, not theirs. Minjun looked at the alien who had once mocked him so cruelly. You taught us a valuable lesson, Vexthara. You taught us that we do not need the approval of others to have value. We are enough, just as we are. Vexthara bowed his head. And you taught us that strength comes in forms we never imagined. I am sorry for what I said. What we all said. I know, Minjun replied. Apology accepted. Now let us move forward. The galaxy needs all of us working together. There are bigger threats out there. The Ravagers proved that. As Minjun walked through the council station later that day, he noticed something different. Aliens stepped aside respectfully. They nodded in greeting. Some even asked questions about human culture, human thinking, human methods. The mockery was gone. In its place was something humanity had always deserved, but never received until now: respect. The galaxy had learned what it meant to underestimate humanity. It was a lesson they would never forget.